It's been a week,
Yeah.
and it's just starting.
Yeah. Can it get here anytime soon, please?
Let's check it out.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
As the calendar turns over to the month of April, the season of lies grows even stronger. So, Sigmund,
Yeah.
what's your recommendation for fantasy GMs and, well, just regular football fans when it comes to hearing the BS that we're going to hear? Sorry, Joe,
Right.
over the course of this month.
Yeah. Well, the right day to wear the Sorry Joe shirt. Get yours at Football Guys merchandise store. Get your Matt Waldman RSP. Dane Brugler's Beast is going to be coming out in a little over a week. I think April 10th. And there's a lot of other people doing tremendous work. I could go through, just read and become smarter and tune out the lying season and tune out everything that is about speculation, because that's all it is speculation. And see, I think this is a good example, as we're old men, as we've watched the football media go through many transformations, where all of us, the DIY wing of the football media, especially the NFL draft football media, is the doing the good essential work, and it's big media that is wasting our time.
Yeah, wasting our time with hot takes and all this. And it's like, anytime I hear anything about Michael Penix, like, he might actually be in the first round, I'm like, are you just starting to pay attention?
Right.
Like, seriously, the first round talent's already there. It's easy to see. Scott McLuhan told me years ago, physical talent. I guess as I get older, Bloom, I get more annoyed when it's like, he's really got the physical talent. Yeah,
Right.
it's called watching football. Michael Penix can absolutely sling it. I'm more worried about, well, his health.
Yeah.
But yes, could he sneak into the first round? Of course. Multiple teams interested, including one that I didn't think would be interested. And I'm not talking about the Broncos, who are just doing their due diligence, by the way. I think it's the Giants, who could not take him in the top 10. But again, everyone's thinking about, who can I take in the 30s? Well, it might be
Yeah.
Michael Penix.
Yeah, Penix is a good guy to talk about because he just had that workout where what he runs Cecil, a 4.46, a 4.5, a 4.52, depending on who you ask. The point is he has speed. He actually has speed. I think one of the takes I heard that makes sense, because of course the question is, well, where is this on tape? We have to go back to before the injuries. And you have to be judicious in the NFL about scrambling. But I do think that, like you said, Cease, there's the athleticism and there's the reps. There are the reps. I know that when we talk about draft prospects, there's breakout age and things like that, and old prospects are dinged. But I think in quarterback, we have to look at it a little bit differently, because it's more of a mental position than a physical position. All the reps that Penix has gotten in his college career make him more prepared for what he's going to see on Sundays, even though it looked like it flustered him a little bit in the national championship game. So absolutely, Cease, you're right that the late first round, early second round, he's going to be one of those players that we hear about teams jockeying to move up to get, like Will Levis last year. And I think the other thing we always have to keep in mind is it's so difficult to scout quarterbacks. And then you only have a limited number of teams. How many teams are really looking seriously at the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in this draft? 8, maybe 10 at the most. So what those teams think about the quarterbacks, and then who they end up getting, or how the draft ends up shaking out when it comes to their picks, we really do get into a reality where, hey, a quarterback can go in the first round, and if he doesn't go in the first round, he may fall all the way to the third round. So I think that this is why all this speculation is idle, and just learn about the players, be ready to understand exactly who this guy is going into the NFL, so we have context when we watch him on Sundays.
Brian Dable needs a pair of sunglasses and perhaps a new job after this
Yeah.
year when he gets fired. But when at these owners meetings and he was bumbling, stumbling over his words when talking about quarterbacks,
Right.
like, dude, we know Daniel Jones isn't good and you already paid him. He doesn't have a high opinion on Drew Lock. Whatever. I wouldn't mind seeing Lock get another chance, but whatever. Maybe it won't happen. Maybe it will. But the whole Penix thing is weird because the Giants have the strength coach who was at Indiana
Right.
when Penix was there. and couldn't stay healthy, and reportedly maybe couldn't get in the weight room.
Yeah, and I think that just bringing this up, Cease, because how many times whenever we hear a pick announced, immediately we can say, well, the position coach coached him 3 years ago in college, or the position coach is good friends with the head coach of the college program where this player played. Teams are looking for assurance, right? I think that reputation is one thing, but there's trust. Cease, you could talk to the reality that we can read scouting reports, we can break down tape, but sometimes just what one college coach says to someone in a personnel department can be determinative of whether teams are looking at players. So I think absolutely, especially if you're really drilling down on your team and trying to figure out who are the players that are in play when your team is on the clock, look at the history of the coordinators, the position coaches, the head coach, see who they are connected to in terms of programs, and that can help you narrow down the field.
Yeah, help you narrow down the field and then make the connections like we always do. Josh McCown coached Drake May in high school. Yeah. Okay, get ready. That's their guy, by the way. And so the thing is this season, this month, season of Lies Bloom is ridiculous because agents will tell you the sky's pink if it helps their
Yeah.
client.
And ask you to tell others to the sky is pink.
Yeah, and that's I think that's really sad. I wrote about it at denversports.com, and I said, I've had agents like you, Bloom, say, can you please talk about my client when their client sucks? I've had agents that don't like me, who I really like, by the way, as people. Mike McCarthy, I'll just name him by name because he doesn't like me because I thought Zach Dysert couldn't play. And it's like, sorry, your client sucks. Sorry. It's not me. It's your guy. I've also had agents thank me for liking their player. And I'm like, well, I like your player. Like,
I'll doing you a favor.
Exactly. So this month is really weird because teams are trying to be like, shh, or misdirect. Like, we're going to go to Penix's pro day. We're going to have a private workout, even though we really don't like him. Like, and I know a couple of teams that might have done that, but it's like, okay, you're not fooling anybody. Well, they think they're fooling them, Bloom.
Yeah, and I think this is why you see this has not changed in the 20-ish years that we've been doing this together, where bad organizations or people who don't get it spend so much energy and time on the subterfuge part of the draft season, and good organizations are just getting to work. And I think that there's a life lesson here too. I'm thinking about my late mother, Tony. May she rest in peace. That one of the things that she taught me that really stuck with me was people see who you are. Don't try to make people think things about you. Just be you. Just do you, and everything will start to sort itself out. And I think that again comes back to where we let off today, which is all the speculation, all of the headlines, all of the things that end in question marks. There's still a lot of good stuff out there that you can be educating yourself and not wasting time on the subterfuge, the lying season.
The news can be negative about a player. It's unfortunate during this time of year where you just talk about how they're terrible and they can't do anything. But the news can also be positive. That's also lies. And
Right.
While I have Bo Nix as a graded first round, he should be a top 15 player based on the quarterback desperation. If the Broncos take Bo Nix at 12-1, it's a good fit with Sean Payton too. It's about where he should go. But it just feels icky to me, Bloom, that so many people are coming out of like, hey guys, guess what? Bo Nix is really good. Like, well, okay. Again, do you even watch football? Can I bring that one back from the archive?
Right, dust it off. Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting about Bo Nix is a lot of the A+ kind of grades on him are not based on necessarily his play. It's based on how adaptable he is, how intelligent he is about football. But when people are talking about his play, not very impressed. And I think that Ian Hartitz, love Ian, love his energy. He's been doing something fantastic where I encourage him to continue doing this because I think the first one was he's doing inanimate objects in his comparisons, in addition to doing, he's like this player, but tweak this one thing. I think he said Jayden Daniels was like mixing Mentos and soda in a bottle. What's going to happen? And I think that he said Bo Nix was like a coffee frother with 50% batteries, and that's the thing. I think that it's hard to get excited about him when you watch him play, but I think the sit down with the whiteboard types are going to get really excited about him. Now, is he going to work out? Is he not going to work out? We have to remember in the last 3 years, the NFL's record on first round quarterbacks has been horrendous, absolutely terrible. The only thing that they've been doing to mitigate it is realizing they should give up quickly. At least they're catching up to seeing their mistakes instead of wasting time. But I do think that, yeah, he gets into the first round. Does that mean he's going to be a hit? And I think where this is really fun if you play dynasty fantasy football is if you're in superflex leagues, because every quarterback that goes in the first round of a dynasty superflex of a NFL draft is going to go in the first round of a dynasty rookie draft. But you mean to tell me, and this kind of mirrors this is why superflex is fun, because it mirrors the kind of decisions that teams make. You're going to tell me that you're going to take Bo Nix over Rome Odunze? You're going to take Bo Nix over Jonathan Brooks? Really? When we're playing fantasy football? I think that's where seeing both sides of this and understanding the risk can help guide you to the right choice.
Yeah, Lester brings it up in the chat room. Like last year, people were lying about Levis.
Right.
And now they're lying about other people. So
Malik Willis.
Away we go. Right. Malik Willis. It was going to be a top 2 pick. Like,
Yeah.
oh, no, that didn't happen. We'll likely see 5, maybe even 6 quarterbacks in the first round.
Right.
And then after that bloom, I don't think it's season of lies. I think there's a wait. I think there's a long wait, and maybe
Spencer
none in the
Rattler.
second round. And then maybe in the third round, I don't even think Rattler should go in the third round. I think Michael Pratt should be the next quarterback. Rattler's more like a 4th round pick to me. 5th round would make me feel more comfortable. But again, quarterback desperation. But once those desperate teams are satiated, like you were saying,
yeah,
it'll be a long gap.
Yeah, and if one of those guys, and that's why we could see, this is why we saw Aaron Rodgers spend a lot of time in the green room once upon a time when going into the draft, it wasn't certain whether he or Alex Smith would go number 1. And this is why we saw Malik Willis fall to the 3rd round, because depending on those teams and whether they get the quarterback they're looking for in the first round or how they feel about the one that's left. That's the thing. There are probably some teams that are looking for Penix or Nix if they fall, but not the other. And depending on how the board shakes out, we could see quarterbacks last a long time. And, maybe that's where a savvy team is able to get the next Derek Carr, the next quarterback that's overlooked. I know that Tennessee thought that maybe they were getting that guy, and they're certainly building around Will Levis to find out if they got that guy. I have an idea whether they got that guy.
Yeah, and I have an idea they still might be getting a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. And that's where the lies seem to circle around mainly. I don't think it's lies to say Malik Nabers could go ahead of Marvin Harrison. That's something that I heard back in January. And as incredulous as I was at the moment, I was told that by an NFL evaluator. Yeah, I get it. I mean, Malik Nabers jump out of the damn building, like absolutely fly. No, my ball mentality, all that. Marvin Harrison, maybe, not quite as explosive or whatever. Right. Harrison it's a difficult evaluation, Bloom, because he does everything. And you're like, you want to find something, not necessarily holes to his game, but just something to say like, hey, I'd like to see him work on this or whatever. But it's like, no, he can run routes. He can get open. Yeah. He's got soft hands. Like he's got late hands when he needs to.
Yep.
Maybe he isn't quite the freak that Nabers is. And please don't forget Odunze. Because Odunze, it should be quarterback 1, 2, 3, wide receivers 4, 5, 6. Right. It should be that. It won't be, but that's what it should be.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the pay scale on quarterbacks, it should be wide receivers 1, 2, 3. I mean, those are the 3 best prospects in this draft, period. Okay. And the way I described it when I was talking to Matt Harmon on the couch last week is if you had to make one play before the snap, so you need someone to execute from the beginning of the snap to the end, I want Marvin Harrison. If you're in a desperate situation and you need somebody to make a transcendental play, like when Kansas City had 13 seconds to get enough yardage to get a field goal, something like that, then give me Malik Nabers. And if I needed one guy to make the play once the ball was already in the air, give me Rome Odunze. Right? I mean, that's how difficult it is to separate these guys. And that's why I'm sure there are going to be some boards where Rome Odunze should be number 1 in the wide receivers if he's not, because it also depends on who's your quarterback. If people ask me, Cease, would you take Marvin Harrison or Malik Nabers? Well, who's my quarterback? Roma Dunze, if you have a quarterback that's willing to throw contested catches, a quarterback that will throw a wide receiver open, you might get the most out of Roma Dunze. If you have a more timing-based offense, if you have an offense where precision in execution is important, give me Marvin Harrison. And if you have a quarterback, I think, like a Jayden Daniels, who extends plays, who creates more space by outlasting the defense, well, Malik Nabers is going to be lethal. So I think that this comes back to, again, the point we keep coming back to is, what do you do during April? Tune out big media and just learn about these players and understand what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. Not that those three have weaknesses. And then immediately, as we're going to talk about here live, as Matt Waldman, you get your Matt Waldman RSP. He's going to do in his post-draft RSP. Fit is everything. Like you say, Cease, it's the dirty secret. And understanding, the difference between Roma Dunze with Daniel Jones or Roma Dunze with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, Caleb Williams right there. Mad Pulls says something about the Williams doesn't want to go to Chicago and doesn't give the Bears a physical. They're not allowed to draft. I think they can draft him whatever, right?
Yeah,
They can draft him out of spite. So the Caleb Williams stuff is like, he's gonna be one. They're gonna draft him, and maybe he doesn't want to go there. And honestly, I said this last night on Denver Sports Tonight. Blew my talk a lot. I am not worried about the pink phone or the pink hair, or the pink nails, or the pink bush, or whatever. Like, sorry, Joe, did I just say that? We'll be all right. You can die here. What's with this manscaping, buddy? Anyway, like, I don't care. I just don't care. It does not. It carries a purse.
It's ridiculous.
I don't care. Okay, it's not for me. I'm not going to wear a satchel or a purse like Chewbacca, although maybe I should, right? A bandolier is what Chewie wore. I am much more worried about Caleb Williams' dad. I am much more worried about Caleb Williams' brand. And I am much more worried about the Chicago Bears screwing him up than I am about Caleb Williams himself.
Yeah, and I think that Matt, I'm going to do a call back to Matt Williamson. We're in the season of Matts on the couch, third Matt in a row, coming up tomorrow with Matt Waldman. It is RSP week. Chicago, how Chicago as a city going to receive someone like Caleb Williams? If he wins, they're going to hug him and love him and call him George and keep him as a pet. I mean, they're going to want Caleb Williams if they win. And what might be different this time around, as Matt Williamson put it, they built a nest for him. Look at what Justin Fields had and look at what Caleb Williams has. It's almost unfair that they're going to be compared, because if Justin Fields as a rookie was dropped into a situation with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and an offensive line that actually is more than functional, moving up the ranks in the NFL, now we're talking. Now that's that structure. That's what Ben Roethlisberger had, right? So Caleb Williams is going to be set up to succeed. Now you bring up the stuff with his dad, and I think that is, if it does start to go bad, that becomes a bigger factor. That's where you start to get the divorce talk, where who's going to look out for themselves. And I think so. Winning cures everything. It's a great deodorant. But when you lose, these things that could be irrelevant become relevant.
Yes, that's correct. Brian asks, what's something you're hearing that may shock us come draft day? Well, 4 quarterbacks in the top 10 is not shocking. 4 quarterbacks in the top 5 isn't shocking. Brock Bowers may fall past 15.
And that's
more about salary.
What about the opposite, Cease? Because you talk about the 4 quarterbacks. Could JJ McCarthy fall? Could this be where the lying season is really exposed? That all of this talk about how much teams covet JJ McCarthy and he could be in play at 2 and he could be play at 3. If you're looking for the lying, if you want to play lying season, get your board game out and play the game and spin the wheel. When the reports are, like you said, Cease, too positive, the line can be positive. Could that be our clue that the surprise is going to be, well, not a surprise if you just go back to where everybody was in January?
Yeah, perhaps. He's not falling past 12. I'll tell you that. I think there's teams that are jockeying to move up for him.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Minnesota and Denver think they like the same guy, and they don't. And so they're jockeying for a position that they don't really need to. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
It's kind
it
of
is.
funny, honestly. So there you go.
Yeah, when teams are paranoid, and I get it. I think that if you work up a quarterback and you say he ticks the box of potential franchise quarterback, then you have to believe that other organizations have also come to the same conclusion. And that's where the paranoia comes in. And yeah, I think that where do all we talked about this already, but let's go ahead and bring this up again. Who benefits the most from 4 quarterbacks going in the top 4? Would it be the team sitting number 5? The Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, at the end of Scooby-Doo, and all along it was Jim Harbaugh. Maybe, but someone is probably still going to take Jay McCarthy pretty high.
I still think McCarthy could go to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And then Herbert gets dealt. Do you want that as a surprise?
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and in the last few years, the NFL has taught us that you should never say never. You should not say something's impossible, and this is far from impossible because on one level, especially if you're looking at a 5-year plan for an organization, kind of makes sense.
What would you get for Herbert? 5 first rounders?
Right.
Like seriously,
an NBA style trade. Yeah.
You get a haul.
Yeah.
So take McCarthy, who's gonna yes sir, no sir, all his way to the Pro Bowl, and then trade Herbert for a haul.
Yeah.
Not saying it's gonna happen, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, and I think it would be a bold team building, but really more importantly, you finally got the Gene Simmons comparison. You're there. You've arrived. There's nowhere else to go from here but down. I mean,
Gene Simmons is not a good person.
No, that's true. But there was a time that my stepson Noah's in a punk. It's a spring break, and they do this camp. They're learning to punkify things. They're talking about patches, and they're talking about zines. Remember zines? And I'm taken back to the days that we talked about our denim jackets and our back patch. And of course, I had the Kiss Destroyer back patch. That's
okay.
That was like a 1.11 of back patches. So when we didn't know any better, and we were responding to the characters, yeah, I mean that was it. That was the tops.
Mine was Peter Criss. Love the kitty cat, man. Love the kitty cat.
I hear you calling.
Yeah, that's right. See, we know our history.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a wrap for today's program. We appreciate everyone out there. Navigate the season of lies carefully. Okay, we're gonna hear a bunch of wild and crazy guys. We're gonna hear a bunch of crap. Just know how to decipher that, and we're here for you. He's Sigmund Bloom on Twitter. I'm at Cecil Lammey. Get our rookie draft guide. It's available at footballguys.com. Get your rookie scouting portfolio. It's available at mattwaldmanrsp.com. And, check out On the Couch coming up. Got Matt Waldman. So that'll be the hotness. And we'll be back on Thursday to talk and chat with y'all some more. He's Sig. I'm Cease. We are The Audible. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.